To understand what is happening across the world's most critical maritime choke points today, we need to look beyond individual events and focus instead on the structure that connects them, because this is not simply a regional story. It is a story about control over flow. A choke point, by definition, is a narrow passage through which a significant portion of global trade or energy must pass. The Strait of Hormuz, located between Iran and Oman, carries roughly a fifth of the world's oil consumption. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait links the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean, forming a vital route between Asia and Europe. These are not just geographic locations, they are pressure points within the global system. Over the past decade, Iran has developed a strategy centered around these choke points. Not necessarily through direct occupation, but through positioning. In Hormuz, it maintains direct military capabilities. In Bab el-Mandeb, influence is exerted indirectly through actors such as the Houthis in Yemen. Through Iraq and Syria, a land corridor extends toward the Mediterranean, creating a connected arc of influence. This approach reflects a broader shift in how power is exercised. Control no longer requires permanent presence. It requires the ability to disrupt, delay, or threaten movement. Even temporary instability in these routes can trigger global consequences. This pattern has been noted in multiple analyses by institutions such as Chatham House and the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which highlight how regional actors can influence global systems through localized leverage. But this is only one side of the equation. The response from the United States and its allies has been equally structured. Naval presence in the Gulf, particularly through the Fifth Fleet, has focused on maintaining the free flow of energy. In recent years, similar efforts have expanded into the Red Sea, with multinational coalitions formed to secure shipping lanes. Officially, these actions are framed as defensive, but strategically, they serve a broader objective: to prevent any single actor from dominating the flow of global energy. This is where the economic dimension becomes critical. Energy is not only a resource, it is a market, and markets respond to uncertainty. If instability increases in key choke points such as Hormuz or Bab el-Mandeb, global oil prices tend to rise. When prices rise, producers with stable and scalable output gain an advantage. The United States, particularly through its shale oil and gas industry, is one of those producers. In this context, control over choke points does not necessarily mean direct ownership. It means shaping the conditions under which energy flows. By securing routes, or even by responding to instability, the United States positions itself as both a guarantor of stability and a beneficiary of market shifts. This creates a dual effect. First, it allows the United States to expand its role as a global energy supplier, particularly to Europe, which has been seeking alternatives following reduced reliance on Russian energy. Second, it increases strategic dependence. Countries that rely on secure maritime routes and stable energy supplies may also become more aligned with those who can guarantee them. This is where geopolitics and economics converge. At the same time, China remains heavily dependent on imported energy, much of which passes through these same choke points. Any disruption or even the perception of risk can affect supply chains and economic planning. From this perspective, the competition is not only regional, it is part of a broader strategic environment, often described as a form of great power competition, not necessarily a direct confrontation, but a gradual positioning around critical systems, energy routes, trade corridors, supply chains. In this environment, control is not defined by territory alone, but by influence over movement. And what we are witnessing may not be a traditional war, but rather a structured competition over the pathways that sustain the global economy. Because in a world built on flow, those who shape the routes shape the system itself. In a world where events move fast and narratives are often taken at face value, we choose to pause, to look deeper, to question what we see, and to understand what lies beneath. Because this is not just about what is happening, but why it is happening. This is decoded deeper. What we see on the surface is rarely the full picture, because behind every event, There are layers, interests, and patterns waiting to be uncovered. The question is no longer just what is happening, but what it leads to. This was Decoded Deeper.